Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Official visit season is upon us, and as always, Mario Cristobal, the Miami Hurricanes, wasting absolutely no time getting a ton of top targets on campus over the next couple of days. Want to dive into some of my favorite players in this 2025 class that are going to be on campus for the Miami Hurricanes over the weekend, and a lot of these names are not necessarily the names that you're going to see on the top of the message boards, but names that as I've worked through this 2025 class, I am massive fans of in this 2025 cycle, fired up to get into it. Before we do it, as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and to the Miami Hurricane fans. I don't know if there's a more engaged fan base on the recruiting trail than this Miami Hurricane program. And y'all know I love talking the high school recruiting game. I can't thank you guys enough for rocking with the boys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. It's going to be an extremely busy next couple of months for the Hurricanes on the recruiting trail. We'll continue talking about this program. And without further ado, let's get into this one. And I want to start with largely one of my favorite running backs in this 2025 cycle, a guy in Shakai Mills-Knight who you see on the screen, right? Ranked as a 3-star running back according to 24/7 Sports, but you take a look at the Power 5 offers that this kid has: Alabama, Michigan, Auburn, Ohio State. Pretty much every Power 5 program in the country wants Shakai Mills-Knight in their running back room, and for very good reason. You are talking about one of the bigger, more physical running backs that you see in this 2025 cycle. But on top of just being 6'1", 220, being such a physically imposing running back, I think Shakai Mills-Knight fits extremely well with what the Miami Hurricanes want to do in their running back room, specifically in this 2025 cycle, where you look at Mario Cristobal and say he wants to take two running backs. He already has one locked in Gerard Pringle, an undersized running back. That's one of the fastest running backs in this 2025 class. What kind of running back are we looking for to kind of bring in along Gerard Pringle to kind of balance out what Gerard Pringle does well? It's a guy like Shakai Mills-Knight, who has 6'1", 220, not only gives you that big physical frame that you're looking for, but I think is extremely fluid in the hips for somebody that size. He's not just a linear athlete that just gets downhill and is trying to run through people's faces. He certainly can do that, but he's a guy that when he gets to the second level can make people miss, can hit the big play. I think this is a riser in the 2025 class. I'm a big fan of his game, but more importantly, really big fan of how he would fit into this Miami Hurricanes class in 2025. It sounds like Byron Lewis and Shakai Mills-Knight are probably the two top targets for the Miami Hurricanes for that last running back spot. And I'll say this, I am a massive Shakai Mills-Knight fan. Going to my next name I want to talk about, and another guy that, you probably don't see at the top of message boards, but I think just a phenomenal prospect, and that's Floyd Boucard, and a really kind of interesting background for Floyd Boucard. He started his career out in Canada playing a lot of hockey. And I think there was a certain point where it's like, all right, you're 6'3", 300 pounds, dude. We got to get you on the football field. Moves down to Alabama for his junior season, 85 tackles, 27 tackles for a loss, 11 sacks. This kid is exactly what you're looking for on the inside of your defensive line. Plays a lot of edge at the high school level just because he's a freak show athlete, but 6'3", 315, he is raw, and that probably explains why he's probably being a little bit slept on in this 2025 class. But in terms of physical traits, in terms of the developmental upside, what this kid's going to look like year 2, year 3 in this Hurricanes program, I don't know if there's much higher upside that you see in this 2025 class. And, kind of the last thing I'll talk about is I think this kid's recruitment is really going to heat up, because he's a guy that when you turn on the film, every physical trait you're looking for a defensive lineman is certainly there. He just hasn't played a ton of football. Now he's transferring down to Miami Central for his senior season, going to get an opportunity to do it with one of the best high school teams in the country. If he puts it together his senior year, you are going to see a lot of Power 5 programs really take interest in Floyd Boucard, and Miami's going to have him right in his backyard. And I think it'd be huge for Miami to lock him down this summer. And yeah, there are probably going to be a lot of Power 5 programs that are going to be knocking at this kid's door in the fall. But if he's already committed to Miami, you can hold on to that one. I think you have, the potential to get a true difference maker on the defensive line. Going to the next name, and a name that's really starting to heat up for the Miami Hurricanes, and that's Zion Grady, who I believe is going to make his third trip down to the Miami Hurricanes in this calendar year. You talk about the type of edge rusher Zion Grady is. Guys like Booker Pickett Jr., guys like Marquise Lightfoot, he's a little bit heavier, a little bit more put together, but you talk about how those guys won at the high school level, burst and bend off the line of scrimmage, beating tackles with the speed and attacking outside shoulders. That's what Zion Grady does best. I think my favorite fit with the Hurricanes, and I think why he's so interested in this Hurricanes program, is the opportunity to work with one of the best technicians of all time in Jason Taylor. Because you look at Zion Grady and say, traits. He's got extreme explosiveness off the line of scrimmage, really long in the arms. He's got every trait that you want in an elite edge rusher, but he's a little bit raw. You can tell at the high school level, he's just winning because he's bigger, stronger, faster than a lot of guys that are trying to tackle him. If he starts putting it together a little bit, this kid has a phenomenal upside for this Miami Hurricanes program. And again, getting coached by Jason Taylor, I think, is at the top of the list for a lot of these edge rushers at the high school ranks. You saw Miami explode onto the scene, recruit the defensive line position in 2024. I think you're going to see a very similar trend in 2025. Zion Grady, big time upside. You take a look at the production at the high school level. I mean, as a sophomore in high school, had 108 tackles, 22 sacks. This is a kid that just dominates from a physical trait standpoint. Going to the next name on the list is somebody that I am one of the more intriguing prospects for me in this 2025 class. Four-star safety Eric Winters plays his high school ball with Zion Grady in Enterprise, Alabama. Eric Winters, in my mind, is a linebacker, but you see him play pretty much every position on the football field at the high school level. He plays quarterback, running back, linebacker, safety. He could certainly play safety at the college level, but I look at 6'2", 200 pounds. I turn on the film and say, this kid thrives around the line of scrimmage, being physical, using his athleticism. And when you have a potential linebacker that is as comfortable in space as Eric Winters, that's a massive asset, right? When you have that safety background, you are really comfortable working down the field, playing the football in the air, and then you transition that linebacker role. You look at what other offenses are trying to do. They try to attack that linebacker position. They try to get linebackers out in space, try to make them tackle in space, carry tight ends up the seam. And there's just a lot of linebackers that can't do that from an athleticism standpoint. You look at Eric Winters and say, all right, you're already 6'2", 200 pounds with a 6'4" wingspan, plenty of frame to put on some weight, get him up to 230 pounds. I think this could be just a super high upside athletic linebacker that can go sideline to sideline, be physical in the tackle box, and operate in coverage. And at this modern day of college football, that's exactly what you're looking for from that linebacker position. Last name I want to talk about, and again, there's some other names that are going to be on campus, but kind of wanted to highlight some of my favorite names. Jabbar Antoine, a Louisiana kid committed to LSU. I remember breaking down his film when he committed to LSU. I think the big thing with Jabbar Antoine is he's really, really long in the arms. He's a fluid mover. He's got good ball skills, had 5 interceptions, 11 pass breakups as a sophomore in high school, also played the quarterback position. This is a priority position for the Miami Hurricanes. You talk about trying to recruit the state of Louisiana. If you can go into the state of Louisiana, flip an LSU commitment, that gives you a lot of traction in that state. That's a state that's been important for Mario Cristobal and the staff over the last couple of years. It's another guy that I think is really intriguing. And although committed to LSU, if there's one team that I think can flip him, it's going to be Miami. It's a second visit this calendar year to the Hurricanes. Another guy to keep an eye on. And again, talk about why Miami just continues to bring in really strong classes. There's not a program across the country that recruits as hard and builds as many relationships as this Hurricanes program. Another weekend, another opportunity for them to do exactly that. We'll cut it there. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. Again, any commitments we get over the weekend, we'll be hopping on talking about. Appreciate y'all, and we'll talk to you guys later.